Hello, today we're interviewing Christian Simpson. He's an actor, voice actor, writer, musician, and for us in the retro community, he is known as Perifractic. He's the mastermind behind the YouTube channel Retro Recipes. Together with his wife, they create these beautiful, entertaining videos that really take you back with the atmosphere of the nostalgia of the 80s and how these old machines really represent to us. Retro Recipes has been the inspiration for me time ago to start my own YouTube channel about retro computers. I sent Perifractic the questions for the interview and he was very kind and sent me a video answering all of them. So with no further ado, let's jump into it.
What's your name? No, just kidding.
So first question is a little bit of a cliche, but what made you start your YouTube channel about retro computers?
Good question. It was about 6 years ago and I was watching some great channels, Retro Man Cave, Jan Bieter, and the 8-bit guy, and some of the usual suspects as well, LGR. And I really got into it. It was at the point where I was hitting refresh on the day they usually upload to see, is there going to be a new one? And I have to remember that through the mindset of today and me knowing that there are people out there who probably do that for my channel, our channel. So firstly, I keep that in mind today, but 6 years earlier, 6 months, I wish, I wanted to make my own videos because I'd run out of ones to watch. As I said, I was refreshing and there weren't any new ones. So I copied a Jan Bieter project where he'd shown how to install a Littell fuse, I think it was a fast blow diode on a Commodore 64. So I thought, okay, I'm going to attempt that. I'm going to brush up on my soldering, make a video, obviously crediting Jan Bieter right at the start of the video for giving me the idea. And I kind of enjoyed it, but it was just like, it's how I make the quick bites now, just with the camcorder, just hitting start and stop basically and pause. But I enjoyed it, so I made another one refurbing a Commodore 64. And someone on the forum went, "This is amazing. Please keep doing these." I thought, okay, maybe onto something. And the rest is history.
How did you come up with the name and logo? Did you go through several iterations and names before you came up with Retro Recipes?
I basically ended up with a YouTube channel years ago, which is why I said I joined 18 years ago when I've only been making videos for 6. Because I gave my username to YouTube as Perifractic, which is my nickname. And you can't change it. So, okay, my username had to be Perifractic. So I thought, okay, well, I want to use this channel because I'd uploaded one video of a hidden camera prank from the Clive James show, and it had like 1 million views. So I wanted to keep the channel. So I thought, well, okay, Perifractics something. Perifractics got a ring to it. Perifractics. And then I like things that have the same beginning of both words. So, retro recipes, I sound like I'm scratching. And that's how it was born, Retro Recipes. And then the logo, I've always made logos since I was a teenager, and the mirrored R's just seemed to make sense because you have the same letter twice. And it's evolved. I started with a pixelated one, which I still use. And then I've evolved to the Atari one that you see sometimes with the spaceships kind of drawing the R. And the badge, Perifractic's you're wearing yours right there as well. That's the pixelated version in the style of the Blue Peter badge. And where are you going? You're going to stay there. So that's the answer to that one.
Do you care about statistics and plan your videos accordingly, or you just make the videos that you love no matter what?
It's both, honestly. I'm always looking at the channel stats and the performance of the latest video because it's important. It's important to learn where the dips are when people switch off or fast forward. And it's always exciting when the video that you've uploaded is the number 1 out of the last 10, and you get a little confetti on the YouTube back end website. So stats are very important. Also, I have certain goals and targets sometimes for sponsors, but over and above that, I make the videos that I want to make. So occasionally there are deadlines, like for the Atari 400 Mini, which you can see back there, with a cartridge on top of it. So it makes it look tiny. I had certain deadlines for things like that. And I have self-imposed deadlines, like Kid Tesla, the 4th video, the finale, I'd been pressuring myself for months to finish that, but I kept having to do things to the car to get it there. So it took over a year. But getting those big ones out of the way is always such a relief, because it means I can just go back and next week I can think, what do I actually want to make? And that's where, also April Fool's is a kind of a deadline one, but that's where I just have fun. I do the one that excites me most from the whole list, right?
Was your goal to become a full content creator and making a living out of it since the beginning, or did it start as a hobby that developed into a business?
Good question. No, it was never my goal to be a full-time content creator. As I said, I made that one video on a whim, and it slowly snowballed, and we got PCB Way. You like it when I say that, as a sponsor. And then we got the Patreon, YouTube channel memberships. Those three things in place have really meant that I can do this full time. And, it's funny to me in a way. Used to perturb me, but now it's just like, okay. When people comment, and she can tell when I'm getting frustrated, when people comment, "Oh, why have you got adverts in this?" Or, if I mention, "Please support us on Patreon," go, "Put your begging bowl out again." But this is what we do for a living, and I always want to say to those people, when you go into work in 9 to 5 in your job, do you say to your boss, "I don't want any money for this, I'm just going to work for free"? So yeah, it is full-time, but I'm only able to do that and have stepped back from other work that was paying me a salary because YouTube, Patreon, PCB Way pay me a salary. So yeah, it is possible, but I didn't plan it that way.
Did you ever find yourself in a situation where you had to make a decision between sacrificing revenue and keeping the channel in its intended nature? Or have you ever had to compromise on your original ideas to make the channel more profitable?
To like a 2% extent, I do sometimes bend videos outside of the channel's normal nature in order to basically keep the lights on. I've got to pay the mortgage, I've got to feed my family. And if that means that one in every 4 videos has like a major sponsor moment in it. Yeah, but I've never actually, now I'm thinking about it, I've never actually made a video just for a sponsor or just for a monetary reason. The video seed is always the exciting idea to me. And what I think I'm good at is finding a way to make an integration that gives us the income that we need to, again, do this at all. Relevant to the content. And that's actually how PCB Way came about. I wanted to do it funny. The way I say it is actually modelled after Crichton from Red Dwarf. "You think I can't extract my own head from the waste disposal unit? PCB Way!" She knows. I wanted to do it funny. And then, using the initialism, PCB stands for Perifractic can bark. It was just a way to keep it light, so you guys can enjoy watching the moment that pays me to make the video and keep the lights on. So I hope that kind of answers the question, but I've never, now I think about it, I've never sacrificed what the channel's all about, and which is basically the happiness of childhood nostalgia, just for the sake of money. It's always secondary. Yes, it's in there, but intended to be wrapped up in an appealing way that still fits the nature and the kind of humor of the channel. So yeah, good questions, right?
You have mentioned several times how valuable PCB Way has been for the support of the channel. So regarding sponsorship, would you recommend searching for sponsors or waiting to be found by them? And would you recommend starting to find sponsors early or only after reaching a certain number of subscribers?
As for waiting or searching for sponsors, I didn't go looking for PCB Way, and I'm eternally grateful that they emailed me out of the blue. And I still get emails from their competitors. Actually got 2 yesterday from the same competitor asking for me to sponsor them. The other way around, but you know what I mean. And every time I reply to them and like I said, I'm really sorry. I'm very appreciative, but I have a long-standing relationship with PCB Way. So I would say if you get to, let's say, 10,000 subscribers that's a really good number where you can start looking for sponsors. So if one hasn't contacted you yet, then by all means, contact ones that you've seen are sponsoring other channels. Just go to the contact form. They usually will forward it to the right person. But occasionally there's a product we really want that's like, the C64 Mini. I don't even remember, but that might have come about because I emailed them and said, this sounds amazing. Can we please, do something together with it? And I'm, again, eternally grateful that they've allowed me to get the prototype first look of every product they've released after that one. So yeah, do contact people if they don't knock on your door first.
Many people start a Patreon at an early stage, but it's difficult to find supporters at the beginning. When did you start your Patreon? And did you start with 0 people and posted content to an empty audience, or did you wait to have a critical mass of subscribers before starting with Patreon?
Yeah, interesting question. The Patreon, I started quite early, and I did that for a very specific reason. I'd seen other channels building an audience successfully on Patreon, and I realized as soon as I had, it might have been 5,000 or 8,000 subscribers, I thought, I don't want to be left behind and only start when I have 20, 40,000 subscribers, and then think, oh, where would I have been today? Or will the channel even survive that long without it? So I made a very cognizant decision, even though it seemed like a lot of work and extra time that it does take. But yeah, I made a decision to just do it. So I think around that sort of number is a good time to do it. And I think I have around 500 to 600 Patreons now, which is mind-blowing. But it does take time, but there's a very interesting dynamic. It is that with YouTube itself and the nature of comments from strangers, there's a sort of love-hate relationship there. Whereas with Patreon, it's pure love. It's love. I think I've had one critical comment from a Patreon, like, not constructive criticism, that's fine. I take that all day, every day. But I mean aggressive or, unconstructive, harassing, abusive kind of nature. I don't even remember what happened. I think I might have just refunded their money and said, thanks, bye. Because there's no place for that there. Because Patreon is community and it's mutual appreciation, and it's got to stay that way because I've always got to love it. But thank goodness it's not something I really have to worry about. It just is incredibly positive.
There are many theories about posting weekly, the timing, the day of the week, the video length, and so many other parameters that might restrict freedom in creativity. So just to make the algorithm happy, how much of that do you actually follow?
Yeah, I do post very intentionally at a certain time. So YouTube claimed that the algorithm will not be affected by when you post, and that enough people, the right people, will see the video over the 24 hours between when you post and the next cycle starts. I don't fully buy into that, and even when they were saying it, they were like, this is how we programmed it. It should. But they do go as far as to, and boring, I know, as to show you on the back end when most of your subscribers are online. And you should definitely look at that. So I did try, for example, posting at like midnight in LA, which is 8 a.m. UK time. But what happens then is that I don't get many viewers in America because everyone goes to bed. Everyone's waking up in the UK, which is great, but half my audience is asleep. So for another 8-9 hours. And I'm sure that dings the video in that crucial initial few hours, because that's when YouTube says, hey, this is number 1 out of your last 10, or oh, this is number 10 out of your last 10. So I do consciously therefore post at 9:30 a.m. in California, which means everyone in America is awake because we're the furthest time zone, I think. Hawaii, I'm not counting. And that means everyone in America is awake, everyone in the UK is awake, and then I've got my other big audiences are Germany, Australia, etc., Canada, New Zealand. I can go on. Abu Dhabi, not really. And do you like that? Abu Dhabi. No, I thought she liked that. So yeah, do look at that. Do post in my opinion, consciously of when people are online. I do Saturdays just, I had a channel manager on YouTube early on, and she said, post a regular slot, because your viewers will learn. If they don't get notifications or they don't click the bell and all that, they'll learn when to come online and look for your videos. So yeah, 9:30 a.m. most Saturdays. I also chose that wording, most Saturdays, quite intentionally, because I don't want to force myself or put too much pressure that I have to release a video every day of my entire life, every Saturday of my entire life. So most Saturdays means I can take a Saturday off now and again, as long as I do 50% of the Saturdays in the year.
Did you ever cross your mind to have a second channel?
Yeah, second channel's not my cup of tea. For me, it is too time consuming. Those who've done it, kudos to you, more power to you. For me, I always feel like it will fragment things, and there's two things you have to then log out of, switch account, go into, check comments, go out, switch account, check comments. But what if there were comments on the other channel? Go back, switch, So I'm a person who's very into streamlining, efficiency, workflows, pipelines, and I have everything set up in a very specific way so that I can maximize my time on making the videos. And that's, I think, the most important thing.
During your journey with the channel, what are the best things that happened to you because of it, and the worst?
I think, yeah, the best thing to come out of it, I mean, getting 100,000 subscribers and the plaque was pretty damn cool. Getting to mess around with Knight Rider stuff and actually, have it pay for itself. So it hasn't paid for the cars that I've bought on the company, but, company loans and all that kind of stuff. And they're company cars, but it's allowed me to have the freedom to live my dream, and you guys live it with me, vicariously, or just join the fun. So yeah, those are the kind of the great things about it. Obviously, as I mentioned, getting Patreons, getting sponsors, but really just to be able to do my hobby. And I've always said and always felt the key to finding the right career is find something you love first. Don't think of it as career. What do you love? What's your passion? For me, nostalgia, just not looking back in a sort of simpering way, but for me, there's a saying, recordar es vivir, which means remembering is living. And memories are magical. Family, first time you powered up a computer and you learned BASIC and you made a computer do something. Those sort of, put that in the same category as family. But yeah, just special things. So being able to do that and then have that pay to keep the lights on in its own studio is really amazing. Yeah, and the negative stuff, I don't even like to really dwell on it or think about it too much. What you think about becomes who you are. But I did indicate earlier, like stuff with negative comments and harassment and that sort of thing is definitely the downside of putting yourself out there. But thankfully, I've developed a thicker skin, and also the more the audience grows, the more you realize people have got your back. So anytime that something has happened, I've just been overwhelmed by the supportive comments that come in instead. So thankfully, that's a bit of a worry from the past. But yeah, that's something to look out for if you're starting a new channel.
How much do you script your videos? Do you create a storyboard, have the text planned in advance, or do you go through bullet points and improvise on the way?
Yeah, scripting's important. So I do, for a big video like the Tesla finale, I script out the whole thing just on Word, or Google Docs. And then what I'll typically do is highlight bits that I want to say to camera, and then things that I'm like, oh, that's going to be voiceover over some other visuals, I leave unhighlighted. And then when I get in the car and drive and film, I have the whole script, and then I just say to camera the highlighted stuff. So that's a really productive way to have the whole story in mind and know, like, okay, that's going to be funny if I say that there, and then because that's just happened. You can make it cohesive, even though it's lots of different clips filmed at different times. You can slot them in. The other important thing I do is keep notes. So use Apple Notes or Google Keep, and I have every video idea I've ever done or ever going to do, and I have about 3 years worth if I did one a week ahead of me. No joke. They're not my best, and I always look at like what excites me, and that way the best video always gets made first. But they are checkboxes and bullet points, and like if I ideas, links to clips I want to use. Sometimes for a big project I just have idea after idea after idea, so I'll end up with a long list, like 20 things. When I finally come to it 6 months later, I've got the whole thing, and I just have to copy that to a Google Doc, flesh out each point, rearrange them a bit, and yeah, I'm always like sitting in the hot tub at the end of the day thinking of, it's kind of my thinking time, meditatively and creatively, just thinking of ideas. And the chicken lips idea came to me in the hot tub, and I've never laughed so much in my life to myself for about an hour. I was going, give yourself time to think, to create, the space to think, to plan, keep meticulous notes. Never think, oh, I'll remember that. You won't. Write it down, and then flesh it out into a script. Choose what you're going to say where, and yeah, that's basically my process.
This is a difficult one because every video is different, but in average, how long does it take for you to create a normal video, and how long does it take to create a retro show episode?
So two different types of videos, well, three actually. So the quick bites that I'm now doing with a camcorder, super quick. I can finish them easily in one day. So I film, clip, then I have the finished tape ready to upload. Occasionally I'll need to correct some things or go into Final Cut and tweak an audio problem or something. But then all the time, obviously there's time taken outside of that to prep the equipment, to get the computer I'm using that in that video. But yeah, I think the quickest I've ever made a video from start to finish is maybe 4 hours, and that would be a quick bites. Normal videos can range, you know, Kid Tesla finale, as I said, was over a year, but the actual filming, probably when I knuckled down to it and had other clips ready, probably 2-3 days of filming various things, and then another 3 days of editing. So that's what I would call a 2-week video, because I would do 4 days, 3-4 days one week and 3 or 4 days the next week. But the average video, like the normal kind of video, like Commander X16 playtest, for example, that one, I think I filmed the unboxing on a Sunday for about 50 minutes. Then I filmed the 2-camera talking for about another 50 minutes the next day. And then the third day I filmed the playtest, and that was probably another hour. So average video is probably a 3-day thing, with obviously an hour of filming, and then you're uploading, you're editing, you're scripting, you're all of that as well. Editing, if I've got the whole video in bits ready to go, then I can sit down and occasionally finish in one day, but on average 2 to 3 days. That's sometimes full days, like over 8 hours a day sitting at the chair, which is why I bought an Apple Vision Pro, because I can at least escape into some different landscapes and have a huge cinema-sized screen to edit on a beach, which is lovely. So 3-4 days for the average video. So I'm always curating content. On my evenings relaxing, I'm looking through Instagram and checking out, you know, the latest retro news and finding funny retro memes. So curating all month long. And again, I have content. I probably have over 100 memes now, and we use like 6 per show. So I actually score them all in the file name. So there's like from 1 to 100. So I'm always using the best stuff first. Today we actually filmed the retro show, and I scripted it in about 3 or 4 hours. And that's putting all the clips in the correct folders to show here on the TV as we film. And then filming today it took 40 minutes, which is our quickest ever. Sometimes it's an hour and 10 minutes filming. And then editing is, I have an assistant editor now just for the retro show. And that, well, I can only talk to how long it used to take me, but for the full edit, I think the fastest I ever did it was 2 full days, because it's a lot of cuts, and getting the unboxing down is always a pain point. Overall, the retro show is probably also a 3 to 4 day affair.
Your editing is really, really cool, and the audio is perfect. Which editing tools do you use for sound, video, and other graphics?
I'm glad you like the sound. I struggle with sound and mic quality right from the start. I kept thinking this will work and it didn't work, and then I'd do the next video and think, oh, that will work, and it didn't work. And I ended up with way more videos with bad audio than I had wanted. Right now I'm filming with a DJI mic that goes wirelessly directly to this iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I'm filming this on. We filmed the retro show on in cinematic mode, and it's plugged in the side there, and I can see the little volume meters. You can get all my recommended filming gear at amazon.com/shop/retro recipes. So there I list everything. For the retro show, because there's two of us, and I don't know why we do it differently really, but we don't use the DJI mics, even though they come in a pair. We use one mic. I think it's because sometimes you get a kind of phasing or flanging sound when there's two voices that are synced, but maybe 100th of a frame out. We use one mic, which is up here. I don't think you can see it, but you'll see it in the wide shots of the retro show. It's a Rode video mic, NTG USB, and that plugs into the overhead camera, which is a Samsung Galaxy of some kind, 21, I think, that looks down at the table for unboxings. Different things for different techniques. Also on the Amazon list, you'll see the Sony ZV-E10. It's the E10, isn't it? Which is the DSLR camera that I like to use for when I'm sitting at the desk or when I'm sitting at a computer and it's close up. The iPhone's beautiful for wide, but the Sony just creates a really nice quality to the image. I wouldn't say very soft, but it creates a softness on your skin, which when you're 51 is appreciated. And I've got various tripods and things set up all over. If you are a Patreon, which I know you are, I do sometimes do little studio tours, and you can, I think, find a studio tour on my YouTube already, where I take you guys all around, and you'll see little tripods and various things set up there. For editing, I use Final Cut Pro X. It's a bit behind the times now, and I hope Apple are listening to us. It does crash less than Adobe Premiere, but I have everything set up really well. I have a library with all the regularly used clips, regular music, everything in it. I can just drop the regular text, all that stuff that I can just kind of drag and drop into projects. So organization, crucial there, but I really appreciate that you like it and you like the visual and sound quality. I didn't do it this way even 5 years ago. These kind of wireless mics weren't in existence. We're very lucky the way we are with the technology, and that we can make these productions ourselves. And we're very lucky to have lovely doggies to help us with our presenting, although she hasn't said much. Anyway, great questions, and thanks for having me on.
Well, there you have it. Thank you, Perifractic, for answering these questions. Really appreciate it. It has been really fun and interesting to know your YouTube journey. You can subscribe to Retro Recipes. The link is here below in the description of the video. Thank you for watching. See you next time.